All right, welcome, Weekend Warriors, to another Sunday night TokuCHATsu on the Weekend Dojo. Tonight we are joined by our guest, TitanGoji. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am TitanGoji. I've been on YouTube for like a couple years by now, and I feel honored to be a part of this podcast.
Yeah, just explain about it. What you talk about, what one of your main focuses, and stuff like that.
Wait, I'm sorry, what
is it? Tell us a little bit about your channel, like what your main focus is, what you like to talk about, stuff like that.
Well, usually on my channel, I make like discussion videos, whether it be Godzilla movies, Attack on Titan, and like some other tokusatsu related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I usually tackle subjects that either no one really talks about, or I just like make a video to like spark up some discussion. And since last year, I really started to like get like some sort of following. I remember my first year on like using my channel. I've had like I had like about 150 or so subscribers, and then the year after, when I started making videos about Shin Godzilla, my subscriber count like went way up. So
Oh yes.
yeah, so that sort of motivated me to just keep making more stuff. Just give what people want.
Also, what I've noticed is you've gotten the attention of Monstrosity's Tokusatsu review vlogs and reviews. They
Yeah.
commented on a few of your videos.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I honestly feel pretty honored.
But yes, now let's get into our main subject tonight. Now that we've got the introduction done, we are going to start off with an underrated film by Toho called Attack on Titan. Would you like to start off and introduce what it is, why it is, and all the nice stuff about it?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Attack on Titan is a two-part movie that was released in 2015, directed by Shinji Higuchi.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it is based on the popular anime and manga series of the same name by Hajime Isayama.
Mm-hmm.
And for those unfamiliar with it, pretty much the premise is that like in the future, mankind is on the brink of extinction because there are these giant monsters named Titans that are devouring like the human race. So the last of mankind built like 3 walls to live within. And suddenly one of the walls gets destroyed by a colossal titan. And like the story focuses on a one person named Eren Yeager who experiences like the true horror of like of the Titans himself, and that like motivates him to fight back against them in the military.
Yep, that's pretty much sums it up. Now, one of the interesting things I find about this movie is the fact that they decided to use the film style of tokusatsu.
Very interesting. Hajime Isayama actually took influence from films like War of the Gargantuas and Godzilla vs. Biollante. So it definitely makes sense for the movies to sort of go that route as well. I mean, after all, there's really no other way to do it. I mean, if it was in CGI, it would just be complete trash.
It would be, I'd say calling it Godzilla 2014 would be more of an upgrade rather than a downgrade, depending on your opinion on the movie. But I'd say it'd be more. You remember that movie Jack the Giant Slayer?
Oh yeah.
It would look more like that.
Yep. Yeah, it would.
But yes, as far as film production goes, I think using rubber monster suits while using some a little bit of CGI was the best route to go with it.
Oh, definitely, and that's actually a technique Shinji Higuchi started using when he did the Gamera trilogy.
Mhm.
He called it hybrid because
Yes.
it was a hybrid of special effects. It was a combination of tokusatsu and CGI.
If I'm correct, Higuchi is the first to either actually do it to combine modern effects with practical effects in tokusatsu, or he was the one to revolutionize it.
Um, I think it's either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and a little more history on this production. It was actually going to be directed by someone else originally.
Oh yes.
I forgot his name, but he originally wanted it to kind of be set in modern day. But like a lot of people were against that because they felt that it was too different from the source material. Either that or they already planned a modern day giant monster movie, Shin Godzilla.
Didn't he want it to be like a cliche kaiju film? Like nothing special about it, just monsters attacking modern day Tokyo.
Um, as far as I know, that was basically the premise of it. And then I okay, so when I went to Famous Monsters convention back in summer of 2017,
Mm-hmm.
Shinji Higuchi actually sort of talked about this during the Attack on Titan panel. According to him, Toho actually went through like several directors, and like most of them refused to do it, and only like a few like thought about doing it, but in the end, they all thought that making something like Attack on Titan was impossible, and that wasn't until they went to Shinji Higuchi because they remember him for doing the Gamera trilogy as well as Return of Godzilla and GMK. And so they went to him, and Shinji Higuchi accepted.
Nice.
Yeah, and
As far as
and
the panel went, was how did he handle criticism with the movies? Because I know there are some people that aren't very happy with the Attack on Titan movies being made.
he doesn't care.
Okay, so he's aware of it then.
Oh yeah, he is aware, but like the fact that he doesn't care about it is like the best part about him. I mean he isn't wanting to make like I don't know like the next Citizen Kane or the next Shawshank Redemption.
Of course.
He's just making movies for the heck of it because he just loves entertaining people.
Mm-hmm. And from his documentary, the type of movies he does is he does it based off of what he remembers from his childhood.
Essentially, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so there was this big deal about like the world ending in 1999, and he actually implemented some of that in the Gamera trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've seen bits and pieces. I really need to pick those up. A friend of mine who lives across the street actually has them, and it's going to be lending them to me within the next few days.
Oh, nice. And I also wanted to mention that he also took note of like the use of social media at the time of Shin Godzilla, so he implemented that into the film as well.
Ooh, nice. But I also noticed a few actors from Attack on Titan were in Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, a really good handful of them were. Hiroki Hasegawa was in both films. Satomi Ishihara, Jun Kunimura, Takahiro Miura.
Who's the name of the actor who played the evil government general / Colossal Titan?
Jun Kunimura.
Yeah, because he was in Shin Godzilla also. I know I've seen him in I think it was Battle Royale.
I don't think he was in Battle Royale. I think you're thinking about Beat Takeshi.
Okay.
Anyway, Jun Kunimura was also in Kill Bill, as well as Godzilla Final Wars.
Yep, that makes more sense.
And he's also been in a few recent live action anime lately. He was in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond's Unbreakable, as well as the Parasite films, which are really good, by the way.
I'll have to check those out. Now, shall we go into what the Toho's version of Attack on Titan is about in terms of it as a film rather than it as a adaptation?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Would you like to take over with part 1 and part 2, and then I will join in and do like an analysis of different parts of the movies?
Oh yeah, definitely.
All
okay,
right.
So to get things out of the way, I did mention before that like all the directors that Toho like went to, like they all really couldn't like figure out how to adapt Attack on Titan because it seemed impossible. Because
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. One of the things that was really impossible about it is the fact that Attack on Titan in itself takes place in Europe, or specifically Germany, while having all these characters that are more like German-based descent.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a more European based environment.
Mm-hmm. But with how Japanese film works, it's really hard to just go to another country and cast people that they expect to know fluent Japanese in order to play these roles correctly.
That's
part of it, I think.
They could have them speak their native language. That they actually did that with Shin Godzilla, and they did put like Japanese subtitles over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that like part of that does take like a good amount of budget as well.
It does. It really does.
And Japan doesn't have a lot of like film resources like as much as like the big shots in Hollywood.
Right. I think most of Japan's like, or at least as far as art goes into anime and manga rather than live film production.
Yes, that's actually true. Like a majority of Japanese media is anime.
Yeah, and if it isn't anime or manga, it's tokusatsu usually.
Yeah, pretty much. Which for those who don't know, tokusatsu is well pretty much the special effects you see in shows like Kamen Rider or Super Sentai and movies like Godzilla.
Or for those who aren't aware of those, think Power Rangers and Godzilla.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's kind of developed from just being a cheap way of doing things within budget to an art form of its own.
Yeah, basically.
Mm.
Okay, so so as I was saying, when Shinji Higuchi ended up becoming like the director of this film, he himself had like trouble trying to figure out what to do, like when it came to like trying to make this series into 2 movies. So he actually brought the author of the manga, Hajime Isayama, for some help. Hajime Isayama actually like told them like what to change and what not to, in order to help it come to life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things he suggested was to pretty much change like the characters and personalities of Eren, Mikasa, and Armin.
Mm-hmm.
And he also provided some elements that would also foreshadow like future elements of the manga, like the chapters that are released after part 2.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the characters of the movie Armored Titan as well as the Beast Titan in the manga are very similar to one another.
Oh, definitely. And also, let's go into Shikishima for a bit.
All right.
Because I know you really like this character. Or I'm not sure if you just meme it or if you're partially serious about it, but I know you seem to portray really liking this particular character within the movie.
Well, Yes, I do meme it, but also Hiroki Hasegawa is a great actor.
Hmm.
And one thing I want to get out of the way is that Shikishima was pretty much Levi's replacement in these films, but I see him as more of an upgrade because Levi isn't that essential to the story, really.
Right.
So I was actually pretty proud of like this reworking of the character.
Hmm. And I felt like the way he was portrayed in the movie, he had more of a pivotal point of furthering the story. Like you had that
Oh,
whole
definitely.
you
Yeah,
had you
definitely.
that love that kind of like jealousy love triangle after Aaron found Mikasa was still alive, and
Yeah.
with Shikishima, and it kind of went into him like using some verbal abuse slash like tough abuse to further his motivation within the movies.
Right.
They kind of played off of how he was portrayed in the anime, but kind of made it more relevant to the story rather than just him being an asshole in the anime.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, pretty much.
Which is,
And
well, at least from not sure what the audience thinks, but at least from our points of views, that's how we see it.
so yeah, and I would also say that uh, I would also say that Shikishima is probably my favorite character, of the movies,
Mm.
because they pretty much take a pre-existing character and make him better, while also providing elements for like future moments in the manga to that are like again like the chapters are like released after the second movie came out.
What elements of Shikishima were incorporated into Levi later in the manga? Because I have
Um,
not read, I'm not that far in the manga. I just started like maybe a month ago, and I'm in the very beginning still.
really, not Shikishima. Levi was pretty much the base of Shikishima,
Oh yeah, but
and and
and you said didn't Shikishima add on new aspects of the character that would be later incorporated into Levi?
not exactly.
Okay.
They also put in some pre-existing character elements of Reiner. I mean, I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, Reiner is who ends up becoming the actual attack of the Colossal Titan, right?
Armored Titan.
Oh yeah, Armor Titan. Okay, I got it mixed up sometimes.
Okay, so now this is like now this is where it like starts to sort of bleed into the manga as well. So there's this character named Zeke who is the Beast Titan.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so in the movie, Shikishima is actually Aaron's brother and is also a Titan shifter.
Hmm.
And like after the second movie came out, it was revealed that Zeke was Aaron's brother and was also a Titan shifter himself.
Right.
I should also note that in the English dub of both the Attack on Titan movies and the anime, uh, like the same voice actor voices Zeke and Shikishima.
That's cool. I knew that voice sounded familiar too. Because I first found out that the movie was dubbed when I was at AMA, which is or no, not AMA, at NecoCon 2 years ago, and I went to the Attack on Titan panel after purchasing the movie, the live action movie part one from Funimation panel or from the Funimation booth in the vendors room. And my question was, is the live action Attack on Titan movie dubbed by the anime voice cast? And they said, can you bring up the DVD? So I did. And they said, English surround sound. Yep, we dubbed it. The only disadvantage out of that was I was probably the only person happy in that room.
uh, yeah, I mean these are definitely some pretty underrated and underappreciated films.
Hmm. But I was happy as happy as Godzilla stomping through a city that day. So that's all that mattered to me at the time.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So again, back to the production.
Hmm.
They a good portion of the film was filmed on Battleship Island.
Oh yes, I do remember that. I think I first learned that from one of your videos.
Yeah, and I believe they filmed there for like 2 weeks, and then they filmed the rest of it at like over at Toho Studios, with their blue screens and their miniatures and all that.
Now, is Battleship Island the island, that little, like, it's basically that abandoned city that's been, like, looks like it's been bombed. It looks like a apocalyptic city, basically, right?
Yeah, I believe it does have ties to World War II during the Pacific War.
Okay. Has it, out of curiosity, has it been used in any other Toho productions or kaiju films?
Not to my knowledge, but it did appear in Skyfall, the James Bond movie.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, going back to everything else was filmed in the studio.
So yeah, all the scenes that had like miniatures or titans, like pretty much everything where they use like tokusatsu or filmed parts of the wall, that was filmed at their studio.
Okay. Now, with like the scenes with the armored titan fighting Eren, I've seen like test footage of it where they're in the early designs of the suits fighting in like blank, with like blue screen backgrounds and blank flooring. You remember how in the final product of the movie you saw it shot? It was filmed over like a big wreckage. Was that a miniature set itself, or was that all visually added in, like through editing?
A part of it was miniatures, and the other part were like digitally edited in there.
Okay. But like the buildings and such, when you see when Eren and Ishikishima are fighting in Titan form, was that edited in, or were those models? Do you know?
That actually were models, and like some of those models were like edited in there as well.
Okay, well that makes sense. I know they used a blue screen, so background editing is definitely a thing with that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
let's go into the plot of the movie now that we've covered special effects and all that. So we can do like a breakdown.
alrighty. Okay, so the plot of the first Attack on Titan movie. Hang on one second. I'm gonna grab my Funimation Blu-ray and sort of read the plot out loud.
Sounds good.
Let me turn my light on real quick.
Also,
okay,
hello. We got a viewer. Hello, Fire Kaiser. Welcome.
Oh, hi. Okay, so I have the Funimation Attack on Titan Blu-ray here, and it reads, when the Titans first attacked, life for mankind was forever changed. Fearing the massive man-eating humanoids, survivors constructed 3 enormous walls for protection. From that point on, humanity lived safely behind the walls, for the time being. A century later, life is peaceful. Eren and his friends live inside the walls, yearning to explore beyond the borders they've always known. But the opportunity comes sooner than expected when a colossal titan appears above the wall. With a single kick, the barricade is pierced, allowing a swarm of titans to pour in and devour the newly exposed prey. Witnessing the devastation, Eren and his friends vow to destroy the man-eating terrors. The future looks bleak, but there's more to Eren than meets the eye. He may be humanity's last hope against extinction. So basically, the plot of like the first half of season 1 or so.
Yeah.
Which again, I do like how they like sort of stick to the basics without straying too far.
Mm-hmm. But I also like how there were civil liberties made, that made it stand on its own.
Right.
And that Actually, there's one part I'd actually like to address because I hear this complained about a lot. You remember the baby Titan?
I actually thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, same here. What I think though is, remember how here's my thing. You know, like how Titans have like look completely different, and it all varies upon their own look and all that.
Right.
Well, just because it looks like a baby and acts like a baby does not mean it's actually a baby. I mean, because Titans in their Titan form are genderless, therefore they can look like pretty much anything. I mean, you got a big fat pudgy one, you got one with a big deformed head.
Right.
So why can't there be one that looks like a baby?
Yeah.
That seems to be something that's one of the main arguments or complaints I hear about this movie is the baby Titan, and I think it's weird that it's always brought up.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's really no need to like really put it onto a negative light. I mean, congratulations, you're talking bad things about a baby.
Yeah. When you put it that way, it just sounds cruel now.
Oh, so okay. While I was at the Attack on Titan panel that Shinji Higuchi was hosting, someone asked if they used an actual baby, and Higuchi responded, "We would never do that to such an innocent baby, so we had to use CGI."
Oh, nice. That's cool. Does he speak English, or did he have a translator?
He had a translator.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
He did say that his favorite Titan was the one with the deformed head.
Yes, I do remember you stating that. I believe that one's actually from the anime and manga also.
Actually, like a really good handful of the Titans in the movies are from the anime and manga.
Yes, I've noticed that. I've only remember the big fat one that like swallowed Eren.
Yeah,
that one was straight from the anime and manga also.
Yeah, it was.
Now, do you have a favorite scene in particular from the movie, as far as visuals go?
In the first movie?
Both. You can do part 1 and part 2.
All right. My favorite scene in the first movie is like after a member of like this unknown resistance group tries to like steal the explosives from the Survey Corps, and it like sets them off like when things didn't go according to plan. So okay, so pretty much everything is on fire. Titans are like eating everyone, and it is the scene where Eren is looking at all the devastation, and he like sees Jean on the roof with him.
Yeah.
Jean is talking about how this is all useless. They're all gonna die anyway. And then and then Shigashima is like on another roof looking down at them. And Eren sees him and remembers and remembers his conversation with him, and it was like, what do you call animals that live behind fences, forever afraid of wolves? And you know how like the whole conversation goes. So Eren remembers that, and he like goes out and starts like, he starts like swinging around, like avoiding and like fighting Titans as well. Like that whole scene is just incredible.
Oh yes,
and then he gets his leg bitten off.
Oh yeah, but then he gets eaten, and then he becomes a Titan.
Right. So yeah, like that specific moment of the first movie is my favorite. I would have said like the ending where Eren is in Titan form, but that was too easy.
I'm probably gonna be called one fucked up person for this, but if I didn't choose that scene, I would have chose the first scene where the Titans come in and start devouring people.
Oh, that was a really good scene.
I thought it was just very well done, and the fact that they were able to manage to make that look realistic with.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it was executed very well.
Was that scene CG itself with them getting lifted up, or did they actually use like a puppet hand?
Okay, so it was a mix of like footage filmed on Battleship Island as well as footage filmed in the studio, and they sort of composited like the footage together.
Like when you see one of the soldiers getting lifted up and then torn apart, that scene. Was it first shot with like a puppet and then they edited him over the little puppet?
Um, it was that, but they also made like these little mini gel like soldiers that they can like tear apart, and they have like blood oozing out of them.
Okay. And then it was edited in afterwards to make it look like the actual person.
Yeah, I mean that too.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Now, as far as part 2 go, oh yeah, I actually did have a question. Remember how you said that one scene with the resistance fighter who took one of the trucks and bomb with the bombs in it and crashed and basically kamikazed with it?
Yeah.
I don't remember who he was, because it's been a while since I watched part 2. Do you remember if he was important? They revealed who he was in part 2?
Oh, the guy with the explosives.
Yeah, and he was like, he had like a bunch of ragged hoods on, also too.
Oh no, he was he was like just a small part to a bigger part of the second movie.
Because I remember at the very beginning of the first movie, Aaron accidentally bumps into someone who was like hooded, had a bunch of rags on and everything, and I thought that was the same person that stole the truck.
I gotcha.
Is it the same person?
I don't think so. I mean, it might be.
But are they important? Like, is their reveal important? Like, is it ever revealed who it was?
Well, it is revealed that they are like part of a resistance group in the second movie, but as like individuals, they're not. I mean, it's nothing like all that big. All we need to know is that they're like part of a resistance group of like soldiers who were supposedly dead, but it turns out that their deaths were falsified and that they formed a resistance group.
Okay. Just the way that scene was shot in the beginning with Aaron bumping into the person in rags, it felt like it was important later.
Right.
But it was just to establish that there was no resistance group, people living underground, pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. BTS. Hello, we're talking about Attack on Titan, or the movies specifically, and then we're gonna be talking about Godzilla and other stuff.
So, do we want to go ahead and talk about the second movie?
Yes, let's go into the second part.
Okay, so again, reading off of the Funimation Blu-ray, Aaron's newfound Titan ability may be the key to saving everyone and defeating the Titans, except that isn't what the government has planned. After Aaron is pulled away from his execution by a mysterious Titan, he finds himself in a strange place with Shigeshima. Suddenly, he learns there is more going on than he could even comprehend. Government secrets, the truth about Titans and their existence. Are the Titans even the real monsters? Shigeshima has a solution, a way to fix the world as it exists now. Can you really fix devastation with more destruction? Aaron and his friends must prove where their loyalties lie and what strength they truly hold. They'll either find their hope or face their end. But there's always more to the story than what's on the surface.
All right. That's the basic synopsis of it. Do you have any particular favorite moments within part 2 that you would like to discuss? Or do a deeper analysis of?
Definitely the fight between Eren and the Armored Titan.
All right. What would you like to break down about it?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it was also it was also directly inspired by the film War of the Gargantuas.
Oh yes, definitely. And if you guys aren't familiar with War of the Gargantuas, it is a. Do you remember the exact year? I know it was the 1960s.
1966.
Okay, yes, it was a 1966 kaiju film by Toho that involved two giants, ape-looking creatures. One was more orange-colored and one was more green-colored. I believe it was a sequel to Frankenstein Takes Over. Or, well, do you remember the name of it? Frankenstein
Conquers the World.
Yes, Frankenstein Conquers the World. And in this film, you got one Gargantua who is represented as the protector, and then you got one who is representing destruction, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So these two battle it out, and they over Tokyo for the fate of Tokyo, pretty much, and the rest of the world. Now, I know a little bit about this movie. I still need to watch it. I've read reviews on it, and I've seen your reviews on it and analysis. So I know enough to talk a bit about it in terms of how it incorporates into this fight.
Well, it has been a while since I have seen War of the Gargantuas. I just know that like since War of the Gargantuas was one of the films that inspired the Attack on Titan manga series, it was also inspiration for the movies.
Does Hajime Isayama ever talk about or mention these kaiju films when he's talking about inspiration and stuff? I mean, I know it's clear as day based on the visuals he provides, but does he actually?
It's actually in his Attack on Titan guidebook. Okay. There's a section where he talks about, about how he watched these kaiju tokusatsu movies growing up, and he mentions War of the Gargantuas and Godzilla versus Biollante.
Okay, that makes sense.
And speaking of War of the Gargantuas, there's a popular fan theory that the Attack on Titan movies are connected to Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas.
Where do you think the connection starts, or where does it lead in time gap wise? Where does that take it?
Okay, so so in Frankenstein Conquers the World, Frankenstein is actually was originally a heart, and it was actually brought to a research facility in Hiroshima, but it was on the same day where it was bombed. Mm-hmm. So that mutated the heart, and that became Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. And it's also revealed that Frankenstein can also regenerate, much like the Titans.
Okay.
And when Frankenstein supposedly died, he actually splits into two organisms, Gyra and Sanda. Mm. And again, this is about a monster who protects while the other destroys.
Yes.
So the personalities of those monsters are present in the Titan.
I definitely see that. That is directly how it goes. I mean, you got Eren, who actually can. Now the question is, the Titans who destroy. It, at least I know, some of the characters from season 2, the Armored Titan, which was Rainer, and a Colossal Titan. They don't want to be just doing this, but when they're in their Titan form, they really have no mindset control over what they're doing.
They actually are aware of what's going on.
Right,
but there actually is a point where the human does lose control of the Titan.
Right, but Eren somehow has that control over it.
Right, Reiner and Bertolt.
Mm-hmm.
And also like all the other Titans, they're just aimlessly attacking, eating people and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also similar to Gyra, because Gyra is also seen eating people in War of the Gargantuas.
Now, are some of these Titans in Attack on Titan? Are all the Titans, or at least in the movie version, are all the Titans shifters, or just a select few are actually like turned in Titans, and some of them are just purely Titans?
Okay, so in the manga, and again, this is another thing inspired by the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Every Titan is also human. Like they were originally human that were like transformed into Titans due to like a science experiment.
Right.
But in the manga, it was like during World War II, and and it was like punishment for like people who like committed like a very serious crime against the government.
Okay.
Like so in the manga, what they did is that they injected them with Titan serum and kicked them like off of a wall, and then they turned.
Oh, so it was pretty much in the manga version, the government was responsible for their own for their pretty much undoing.
Right, much
Yeah.
much like the movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, with back to the connection between War of the Gargantuas and Attack on Titan, where do you think it starts to straight up connect from after War of the Gargantuas and leads into Attack on Titan?
Okay, so the second Attack on Titan movie explains the origins of the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And also Shinji Higuchi openly admitted that he used War of the Gargantuas as an inspiration for the Attack on Titan movies.
Mm-hmm. Did anyone ask, or did you or anyone ask him if Attack on Titans was canonly connected to War of the Gargantua?
Okay, so there's this other guy hosting the panel as well. He actually asked the audience, now, for those who know their kaiju stuff, you may have noticed that this film seems very similar to another Toho film. Of course, I'm talking about War of the Gargantuas.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually asked Higuchi if there's like anything he'd like to share about that, and he says, "Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to."
Oh, huh. So that
And he also mentioned that Toho really wouldn't like let him remake such a classic.
mm-hmm.
And
So
okay,
so we can safely assume that in his mind it is canon. It's a sequel, while officially not being a sequel.
right.
He wrote it in his mind as sort of being a sequel. These two movies being a sequel or a follow up, like a long time follow up to War of the Gargantuas, while not officially having the title.
Right. I think it would be safe to assume that.
So if I get Frankenstein Conquers the World, War of the Gargantuas, and then Attack on Titan Part 2, put them together and call them a trilogy, I can safely do so.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And not to mention the Titans look very similar to Frankenstein.
Oh, yes, they do.
Okay, now back to like where War of the Gargantuas connects with Attack on Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like to think that the government, like sort of studied, the DNA of Frankenstein that was also found in Gyra and Sanda,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess to either weaponize the human race or sort of enhance it.
Okay.
But it went like horribly wrong, and then we had the Titans.
That makes a lot of sense. And then the next result was to build walls to keep them out. Because
Right.
there was no way of knowing how to kill them at the time.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a fair conclusion to how to connect them. And given
And
the evidence provided within the Attack on Titan movies and what's known about the Frankenstein, Consters of the Earth, and War of the Gargantuas, I think it's safe to assume that they are all canon to each other.
there's actually a video on Daily Motion. I think it was uploaded by someone named Kaiju Saurus. It was actually a re-edit of the scene where Shikishima explains the origins of the Titans to Eren. And the person included like footage from War of the Gargantuas and Frankenstein Conquers the World.
Ooh.
And it's just perfect.
All right, after the stream, you got to link this to me because I really want to watch this now.
I will.
Thank you. I actually may want to do my own version of the edit too.
All right.
All right. Now let's go into other influences rather than just War of the Gargantuas.
Okay, so Hajime Isayama, while he was writing the manga, he wasn't necessarily going for any specific agenda or message.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of his influence came from his childhood, and again, part of that being watching War of the Gargantuas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, he does remember being depressed as a teenager. He also grew up in a part of Japan that was surrounded by mountains, and of course you can see the connection between that and the walls and Attack on Titan. You know, just this feeling of isolation and wanting to know what's beyond these boundaries. And also kind of find it funny because Hideaki Anno kind of did the same thing with Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Mm-hmm.
Where he pretty much based the series like on his childhood. So Hajime Isayama did go through like depression as a teenager, and you can see and like the main theme of the series is anger, frustration, confusion, and you can really see that, and not only just like the manga but also the anime and the movies themselves.
One thing I found interesting was the inspiration how the Titans act and how they move. Do you remember how he said when he was in a bar one day and this one drunk guy just kept getting up in his face?
Yeah. The Titans are based on drunk people.
Yes, at least how the Titans walk and they got stuff oozing out of their mouth. That was based off of some drunk guy who kept getting up in his face when he was in a bar one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always find that part of the influence very amusing.
You know, and it's really interesting how once you like go through like a sort of biography of like a creator, whether it be like movies or manga, you can start to see like connections between their works as well as, you know, their background.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think Isayama's influence for the Titan Shifters was directly Ultraman? Could it have been? Was it, or do you think it was like just an accidental connection?
Well, I don't recall reading or hearing anything about Ultraman. I just know that he like grew up watching TokuCHATsu movies, and
so he never mentioned it. But could it have just been like some? You ever heard the theory that you see something, and you'll sometimes unknowingly incorporate that into something you make?
Right. Yeah. I think it's probably that.
Mm-hmm. Like, because Ultraman is a very, very popular Japanese superhero / kaiju character icon, and one of his key things was it was always a human who bonded with Ultraman, and whenever he'd use a device and raise it up to the sky, he would transform into this towering giant.
Right.
And with Titan shifters, all they have to do is either bite their finger or pluck it with some sort of needle, and with a drop of blood, they turn it into Titans.
And I think he also said that he got some influence from from some mecha anime as well. Hence why, like, you know, you have people sort of piloting these Titans.
Yes, so like Gundam.
I never really watched Gundam, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Gundam is definitely that. It is mobile suit. It is a bunch of pilots piloting giant mecha and fighting.
All right.
Other things. You could also argue that Macross is that too.
All right.
There's definitely a lot of like inspiration just from different Japanese pop culture within his work, and I like how it's a subtle nod / tribute to them while still being its own thing.
Yes, definitely.
Like it isn't like Ready Player, and Ready Player One was great, by the way, but it wasn't like Ready Player One where it was pulling off of those references. This used straight up like influence while respecting the source, those things enough to not bring them fully into it.
Yeah, like that.
Mm-hmm. Now, other than Attack on Titan, do you have another favorite Toho or just Toku film in general that isn't directly associated with Godzilla?
Probably the Gamera trilogy is my favorite non-Godzilla Toho movies.
Okay. Well, I mean, in terms of Toho, that is as far as Toho goes, but isn't connected to the Godzilla verse.
Toho did make the Gamera trilogy, and
they did. Okay.
Yeah. They didn't make the older Gamera films, but they did make the Heisei trilogy.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Gamera villain within that trilogy?
Probably either Iris or Legion. It's been a while since I've seen their movies. I only watched Guardian of the Universe like a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Now, do you remember a Gamera villain called Yiger?
Jiger?
Jiger, yeah.
Yes.
I always pronounce it as Yiger, like Jaeger, but with an I.
I gotcha. Yes, I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah. What'd you think of that Gamera villain? Would you like to see that one come back?
Well, it really depends on if Gamera will return.
Right. Gamera has always been sort of a has its moment then passes by type kaiju film.
Yeah, and there was also that trailer back in 2015.
Yes, let's talk about that actually.
Okay, so from what I heard is that they were trying to look for people, to like sort of like get into the project, but they really didn't like get enough interest, so I guess they sort of dropped it.
Okay, so originally it was a concept trailer that was made, and to get hype for it, to hopefully get more attention towards it at New York Comic Con, but it ended up just not getting enough to move forward with it.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because from what I've seen, I saw this thing getting shared around along with that Ultraman trailer. Was that by the same people, by the way?
You
remember that Ultraman trailer that came out around 2016, and it was
yeah.
Was that a trailer or a fan film?
I've heard both things. Like, I did hear people say that it was fan made, but I did hear people say that it was like a concept trailer.
Okay, because there's no source of where it came from. Like, Subaraya said nothing about it.
Yeah.
No one is claiming ownership of it. it's just being shared around, and there's really no known source of where it came from.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It sounds kind. If it is fan made, this was obviously made as a to fool people into thinking it's real. Kind of like, do you remember back when Batman, the hype for Batman versus Superman, and you remember when there was that fan made trailer that looked really legit, and it had like you saw like General Zod's message playing with a few different on a thing, and it had like in 2016, and then it lights up and you see Batman looking at his screen in the back.
Yeah.
And it was like filmed.
I remember that.
It looked like it was filmed, like it was leaked from a convention or something. Now, part of me says that Ultraman trailer was that it was made by someone professionally, but it was made entirely as a means to fool people into thinking it's real. But the way it was filmed, it looked too professional to be like it was made to fool people. So what do you think? Do you think
I can see that.
Do you think it was an official project, but due to them dropping it, they just didn't mention it or mention anything about it?
That's probably the case.
Okay. Because I know, like with the Gamera trailer, that was they were sharing an idea to see how much recognition it gets, and then they were gonna move on with it if it did, but it somehow didn't get the attention they wanted it to get. So
right.
I wonder if, with Ultraman's case, if it was just here, someone within Subaraya said, "Here, we're not going to work on this anymore, but let's just throw this out as like candy to the fans."
Right.
I don't know. I know that fan film did give me hopes of seeing something like that in the Ready Player One movie, though. Before the whole Subaraya versus that other company lawsuit happened.
Oh yeah.
But I think that's actually honestly it for tonight. We've covered everything about Attack on Titan, the live action movies, and we've gone a bit.
Well, I mean, not exactly everything.
No, not everything, but enough for the time being.
Yeah.
Like
a fair amount.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some more stuff about the movies uploaded on my channel too.
Yes. If you guys want to learn more about these movies, and to get a full opinion, like a full review on it, that's actually not biased towards just loving the anime over anything else, definitely check out TitanGoji's reviews on the Attack on Titan movies, and definitely check out his channel if you love kaiju films, tokusatsu in general. And as one of my favorite YouTubers always says, for Godzilla's sake, keep watching tokusatsu, for Godzilla, yeah, for Godzilla's sake, keep watching tokusatsu for the betterment of mankind and for yourselves. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. You got anything to say?
Okay, so I'm gonna like do a little bit of self promotion here, if that's cool.
Yeah, go for it, definitely.
Okay, so recently I uploaded a video about the history of the unmade live action Neon Genesis Evangelion.
There was a live action Neon Genesis?
There was going to be.
Oh, okay.
but like it's currently in a state where it's just a what if now.
Okay. Now, with it, this is actually quite interesting. With it, what were they going to do special effects wise?
Not enough information like about the movies like have been put out. It was going to be a collaboration among Gainax, Weta Workshop, and ADV Films. So it was probably going to be CGI, considering that Weta Workshop was involved. and it seemed like it was pandering towards a more Western audience.
Okay. So then we're expecting Hollywood quality special effects then with this.
Yeah, it was originally pitched in like 2003, and the last time anyone's heard anything about it was back in 2011.
Okay, because I know Weta Workshop did the Power Rangers movie, and they did a fantastic job with the whole designs of everything, in my opinion.
Right, and they also did Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Ghost in the Shell, King Kong, 2005.
Now, that actually brings another interesting thing. They said Weta Workshop was involved with Neon Genesis Evangelion when they were going to make the movie.
They were actually the ones who had the idea first. Then they went to ADV. Then they went to.
Have you noticed how similar some of the suit designs for the Power Rangers look to the Evangelion mecha suits? Like just how the armor is set out and everything around them.
Yeah, I can kind of see some influence.
Like if you look at the back with the spot, or hold on a second, I can get a figure up here as a example. Can you see this?
Yes. That's very
here.
That's very plug suit-esque.
It has a on the back here. It has the way the spine is shaped and the way you have all these like articulated parts that are separated yet still connected. It looks very similar to some of the mecha suit designs of Evangelion.
Yeah, I think you're probably the first person to make that connection, because not a lot of people know about that there was going to be a live action Evangelion.
Well, I just learned it here, and when you mentioned Weta Workshop, I knew Weta Workshop had worked on the Power Rangers movie, providing all the visual designs of the Zords, the suits, and everything.
Huh, very interesting. It's very nice how you pointed that out, because I didn't.
Well, maybe you can incorporate that into an update video.
I also did make a follow-up video. It was a video about how I would like to see Evangelion be executed in live action, and like at the beginning, I talk about movies like Pacific Rim and Shin Godzilla. But I didn't bother to mention the 2017 Power Rangers movie.
Oh, well, now you see it.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly it for tonight. Thank you all for watching. Remember to check out TitanGoji's YouTube channel, and see you next week.